Hi everybody, my name is David Liu. I'm an attorney practicing in Los Angeles. And here with me is a dear friend of mine, Michael. Michael is, as you can see, of a youthful age, and I think it's important, to know how young people would view the whole situation where Maduro was being arrested or kidnapped, depending on how you see it, by the U.S. government. Michael, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, David.
Yeah.
I want to, the primary way that I view this is I think that it's a positive change in the world that we are removing one of the opposing governments to ours in the Western Hemisphere. I see this as Trump reestablishing the Monroe Doctrine, which I feel is a fantastic decision for our foreign policy, where we have been ignoring the Monroe Doctrine for so many decades, and I believe that it's fantastic to see it implemented again. And I am also very happy to see that this was done in a manner where it does not seem like it's going to turn into a prolonged conflict. It seems like this was an incredibly efficient mission where we simply removed the head of state, and we now get to decide what is going to be the future of Venezuela, along with all of the resources inside of Venezuela, of course. So this isn't a Iraq or Syria situation where we go into a country, or Afghanistan situation where we go into a country for several years, spend trillions of dollars, send military personnel to die. No one died in this mission on the American side. Very quick and efficient, and we won't be spending trillions of dollars managing the country. So I think it's the best of both worlds. We get the country, and we don't have to sacrifice too many resources.
There's also a lot of criticism on the situation, especially people are saying that, this wasn't like a law enforcement exercise. It was more of a military exercise. Some people even described as an invasion. So what do you think of that?
I think this point, even if it were to be a military exercise, like even if we were to say, if Trump were come out and said, we did this for the oil, or we did this to remove a rival, I would say good. That's called realpolitik. We don't need to hide behind virtue all the time. That's not how countries exercise their foreign policy. That's not how they should exercise their foreign policy.
But given that, America, often is described as the leader of the free world. So don't you think that, is at least some people would think that America has a role to play in terms of being a role model?
Certainly.
Yeah.
And, the part of being a role model is discouraging bad behavior.
So by sending troops to another country?
Yes, by removing a dictator. In part, I would say so.
Okay, so you basically think, as a young American, you think there's nothing wrong with it?
Well, in this case, I would say, obviously, you take it on a case-by-case basis. But in this case, I see nothing wrong with enforcing the Monroe Doctrine and keeping control over America's backyard, as it were.
You kept on mentioning Monroe Doctrine. Can you tell us what Monroe Doctrine is? I think a lot of people probably don't really know much about Monroe Doctrine, if at all.
Yes, of course. So the Monroe Doctrine is the idea implemented, I want to say, in the 20th or 19th century by America, where America would focus on the Western Hemisphere. And by the Western Hemisphere, that obviously includes North America, as well as South America and the Caribbean, given that it holds far greater proximity to us. The reason that the Monroe Doctrine was originally implemented was to keep European influence out of South America, and instead, keep vague control of it ourselves, so that no European country would be able to conduct any sort of military action from South America or from the Caribbean. It is our territory, so to speak, and we're going to influence it in order to keep ourselves safe and prosperous.
Okay, so it's a national security matter.
Yes.
Right? Simpler put, so Monroe Doctrine, the way I see it is more like, this is still the same continent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's within our control, it's within our influence.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys stay away.
Yeah.
So mainly that's the idea of Monroe Doctrine, right?
Exactly.
So it does make sense, because obviously it's both South America, North America is still America as a continent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the second thing though is that I'm giving you a unique background, and I understand that you speak Russian, you speak Ukrainian, right? You speak the language, for both Russia and Ukraine. And you also understand both cultures really well. You are very immersed in both cultures. So, and also you were born and grew up in America. So what do you think of the potential impact the operation has on the war, on Russia Ukraine war?
The Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah.
I think there will be minimal impact. I know that Venezuela and Russia were trade partners to some extent. As of the last information that I saw, I don't believe they were large trade partners. However, what this does do in the long term, I would say, is this removes a potential ally of the BRICS countries. If you know it, the BRICS alliance between Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa was the original kind of economic treaty, and they've been inviting more countries into this treaty as of recently. So they were kind of building another center of gravity within international politics, where the West and America held dominance in global policing.
So the impact, actually, I was referring to more so that the impact on Putin,
Mm-hmm.
the person that's in charge of our Russian government, the president of Russia. So do you think he will be like, will be the next, So in that regard, obviously, if, there may, the operation may instill fear in him. What do you think of that?
It's certainly possible. I mean, I think, Putin looking at this would likely be impressed, and, he would be thinking that he should probably increase his own personal security budget a little bit. But more than anything, I think countries like Mexico, Panama, Greenland, Canada, they're the ones that are, and Colombia, they're really shaking in their boots at the moment, especially since Trump has already declared that he has ambitions against them.
I see. Oh, but I'm going to ask a rather personal question. Obviously, you don't have to answer that. Between Russia and Ukraine, which culture do you identify yourself more with?
Well, at home, we mostly speak the Russian language, so I suppose I identify myself more with the Russian culture as a result.
So you will be a more of rushing, but in the same time, you're also a Republican,
Yes.
American Republican. So you'll be a Russian American Republican. Am I right?
Yeah, it's very
Right.
complicated.
Yeah, right. So that's why I think it's very interesting to hear what you have to say given your very unique background. I think the segment will not only just be informative but also educational in a lot of ways. So and I really appreciate you being a very strong Republican, especially given the fact that in America a lot of young people are lost and confused, not knowing what they want, and they get brainwashed. They do stupid things, So and you stand up. So and for that, I think it's very important, for you to say something, say to people your age. Understand that you graduated from UCLA at the age of 18. So if you have something to say to people of your age that they call next gen, so what do you have to say?
It's a big question.
Yeah. So it's okay. You can give me a small answer.
I mean, the most compact answer I feel I could possibly give is, don't be afraid to take responsibility. Don't be afraid to, fight for your goals and beliefs. It's very easy to get swept up, for example, in social media with, everything seeming like it's very bad or something, or, it's very easy to just never go outside, never interact much with people. But, you have to realize that, your goals, whatever they might be, they all involve adopting responsibility of one sort. And once you begin adopting the maximum amount of responsibility that you can for yourself, that is when you're going to really shine and begin enjoying your life.
So simply put, you can only become an adult by starting taking on responsibilities.
Yes.
You don't become adult at the age of 18. You could be, 28 years old, but you're still, a baby.
Exactly.
Right? So I see. Yeah, that's very well said. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much.
Joining me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is David Liu. I am an attorney practicing in Los Angeles. And here with me is a good friend of mine, David Curry. Today we'll be talking about what happened in Venezuela, about the president or the dictator, Maduro, being arrested by U.S. armed forces, or to be precise, by FBI agents with the assistance of U.S. armed forces. David, my understanding is that you have been a registered Republican for over 20 years, approaching 30, and you also adore Ronald Reagan.
Absolutely, to all of the above.
Okay. What do you think of Maduro being arrested, or should I say, as some people put it, kidnapped by the U.S. government?
It's about time he was arrested and brought back to the U.S. to stand trial for the crimes that he's committed for many years with impunity. If we don't understand, if we don't stop the cut the head off the snake, we're not going to stop the flow of all kinds of drugs, including cocaine and fentanyl, into this country, which is ripping apart the fabric of our country from within. We need to start doing something about not just the illegal migrants, but we need to be doing something about illegal drug flow, which is incredible for the last 15 years in this country. You see the terrible results on the streets from that. It's, like I said, it's well overdue that we start going to these cartel leaders and these leaders and the political leaders that support and cover the cartel leadership, which is all one and the same. There's other countries we need to look at, but absolutely it was well overdue what happened with Maduro, and an absolute precise action right on the money taken by Donald Trump. And I would add also that the U.S. cannot be run over where there's money concerning U.S. investments like oil and the minerals and all those types of things in another country, and a leader in another country reaches out and takes and steals money that belonged to the U.S., as well as took over American oil companies. We cannot have that. If we don't take action like what we do with Maduro, we're going to have other countries doing the same thing. And if they see the U.S. lacks backbone, look out for the future, because they're going to take advantage of it. It's an economic thing here, and it's a thing of morality, and it's a legal thing that all backs up Trump in his action that he took with Maduro.
So basically, in essence, you think Trump did the right thing?
Absolutely, because the last 10 years they have shut down and kicked out American oil companies. Oil production was cut in half, down to a quarter of what it was when the American companies were running the oil industry. And all the money now has been siphoned off to illegal drug trade and illegal activities to support Maduro and other cartel leaders. And none of it's even getting to the not only did they take the money from the U.S., but none of the money's getting to the population on the ground in Venezuela. And that's why it's a very poor country when it should have been a very rich country. And it was during the years of the before Hugo Chavez and Maduro. It was when the U.S. companies were operating the oil production facilities in Venezuela.
Yeah, but some people do say, though, that U.S. government doesn't have legal authority to enforce laws on a foreign soil. What do you say to that?
I say that the exception of that is terrorism and drug flow. Illegal drug flow and distribution in this country is as much of act as terrorism as it is a bombing that injures many people, because you kill more people with these illegal drugs on the streets than we're killing in bombings here and there, although both are absolutely horrible.
So you disagree with that? So
Certainly.
You do think, or you know, that U.S. government does have authority to enforce its laws on foreign soil?
As far as combating
Yeah.
terrorism, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's written within our Constitution and within federal law.
Yeah, some people also told me that the operation did not have congressional approval. So what do you say to that?
The president can act by executive action when our country is threatened, and there is not time to get the proper approval, along with the fact that we put American troops and operatives and government people that were involved in this operation, you put them in grave danger, because as we know, the more people involved, the more we have leakage of critical information. This is national security information. There are exceptions there for the president to act so that information is not leaked to the public till after the fact, and it does not jeopardize our soldiers, which it would have, or other people, like I said, involved in the operation. And please, I'd like to make the point that Trump, once the operation was complete, he immediately went before the American press and he told them exactly what had happened with the Defense Secretary, the Secretary of State. So there is no cover-up taking place here. But they had to do what they had to do to protect our people, military and non-military,
Also,
before this operation.
there's a position saying that the main reason, not the only reason for the operation is for the oil, is to seize the oil companies, is not to actually for the benefit of America or Americans. So what do you say to that?
Oh, I say absolutely not, because the main thing here is, of course, there's the side product of the oil and other American businesses that were taken over, but the drugs coming into this country, killing the amounts of people that it's killing and causing the crime rate to soar, that is much more important and much more significant and much more direct by removing Maduro than anything involving any economics. Now, of course, you have a side product from the economics and the oil production, but you also must understand that Valenzuela is holding 5 Americans at last count, and these Americans have done have not done anything wrong. They were just put in jail to use this bait and leverage by Maduro so that he could get bad criminals released in this country that are in our jails that were involved in the Valenzuela drug operations. Basically a bait and trade switch thing between our U.S. prisoners and his prisoners. And that's another reason why we need to go in and make a statement to stop our people from being grabbed off of Venezuela streets with no crime being committed and no judicial process taking place, but just being held in the jails. And there are many, many other reasons that non-economic for our actions that we're taking.
So basically, you were saying that if you to fight a nasty enemy like Maduro, you have to be nastier, or you call it nasty. Is
exactly
what you're saying?
Exactly,
Yeah.
because if we don't, it's going to be take a place in line against the U.S. Who's the next dictator? Who's the next dictator?
Yeah.
Cartels will act with impunity. They'll become more and more obvious. We'll eventually lose control. We'll just eventually lose control if we don't take the kind of direct action we need to take.
So, David, I'm sure you have talked to talked to a lot of your friends about the Venezuela situation. So, what are the general consensus? Like, do they agree with you? Do they not agree with you, or they don't simply not
You mean friends?
care? Your friends, yeah, people you talk to.
Absolutely. They hadn't felt. I've gotten nothing but several emails in the past 48 hours where they're saying we couldn't be more prouder of being a U.S. American citizen and more prouder of our country than we were in the last 48 hours when Maduro was removed from Venezuela.
So basically, at least in your so-called friends, everybody not only agreed with what Trump did, but they are proud of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not only proud of what Trump did, they're proud of being
Absolutely.
prouder of being Americans than ever.
And please understand, we didn't just do it for our country, which had to happen.
Yeah.
But we also have done it for the Venezuelan citizens. And if you'll see in the last 24 hours, there have been a lot of celebration and protest in favor of what we did within the Venezuela country itself. Their citizenry will rise to a better level and a healthier level, just as we will at the same time. So we are becoming, in a way, we're establishing a true partnership with Venezuela citizens. Again, I'm not talking about the leadership. I'm talking about the citizens on the streets who were just persecuted by Maduro.
So, David, do you know anybody in your so-called friends who does not agree with you, who actually, thinks what Trump did was bad?
Not in my circle of friends, but I can pick up a newspaper and show you very quickly those that think it was bad. I could turn on certain TV and radio stations that will show you that it was bad.
Okay. Well,
But I think the majority of people think like me and you, David.
Yeah.
I really do.
Okay. Thank you so much, David.
Oh, yes,
Thank you for your time.
sir.
Thank you for your time.